Hi everyone. I recently passed CKAD exam and I wanted to record a quick video show how you can use Kubernetes documentation on the website during the exam to get the specification and information you needed. You have access to Kubernetes site on the exam through the browser, and it's one of the few sites you have access. You cannot do Google search or anything, but you can use the documentation. But in order to use it, since the exam is very time constraint, you need to know exactly how to navigate through the website and through the documentation. So I'm using one of the examples of the practices of Lightning Lab from this great course on Udemy by the Code Cloud, which I really recommend. And they have this Lightning Lab that has a couple of like practices that basically covers most of the content. Uh, I choose the third one. This says that it's asking to create a pod called time check. In this namespace, this pod should run a container called time check that uses the BusyBox image. It says create a config map called time config with data, blah, 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 and then create the container that should run this command. So from the command, we see that it seems it wants you to use the name of the config map as environment variable for the pod. So what we're gonna do? So since I'm already familiar with the documentation, I know how I can find it. So the way I recommend you do is that when you do the practice, you do the mock testing, and you get prepared for the exam, you try to solve them. Of course, if you don't have it memorized, which I guess would be the case for most of the cases, you go through the documentation through the website. So you come here, you go to documentation. See here, it has getting started, concepts, which like like it explains the concept and has some examples, but it's not always helpful during the exam because you have very limited time. But in tasks, it's very interesting. You can go in tasks. You see it has a couple of different sections. If I go to configure pods and containers, I can find exactly what I want. So what I really want here to do this in exam is to create a config map and then use that config map as an environment variable in my container, right? So let's go through this and see which one is similar to what we want to achieve here. Here it is, configure a pod to use a config map. On the right side, you see the content for it. So it says create a config map using uh, kubectl. That's great. Then I'm coming down and so I want to see that. Okay. So you see in the exam, okay, that's what I want. So I think I can exactly use this command and come here. Actually, I think first I need to create a namespace, DVL 987. Okay, now I need to create the config map. I have to name it What's the name of the config map? Time config. Okay. Then we have to have, we use the from file, or not from file, we actually from literal, we have to use it. You see, in the exam, you have to know this stuff. You cannot really learn it from the documentation. Okay, so we created the, oh, okay, actually we missed. We have to create it in the namespace. DVL 1987. Okay, we created one in the default namespace as well, which doesn't matter for this. Even in the exam, I think wouldn't matter. Uh, so now we created it. We don't really have time in the exam to really describe it. So now what we want is that to see how we can use it in the pod. So we can scroll down. So you see which, since I already used this documentation, I know where I'm going. But if in the exam I would see it for the first time, then it would be very hard. So here it is. Here is the definition of pod. Okay, that's what I want, I think. Okay, I'm gonna copy this. I'm gonna go here, create a file, name it pod. So that I can do this two way. I can either copy it from here, or I can create it using declarative command. I choose this one now. You can choose based on your comfort. So I think here we can say namespace. We have to specify the namespace. 1987. Okay. And the container name should be time check. Time check. And it should run this command, which we're gonna copy from here. And then it says that it should write the result into here. This address. Okay. So we have to mount this address as well, I think. So now this part, you see, at least for me, there is no way I can have this in memory for all of the different concepts and like objects and APIs, Kubernetes APIs and everything. And so I use this. So define the environment variable that we want to use, which is this one, since we use it in this command. We want the value. So here, ConfigMap reference key, we want the value to come from Here is the name of the config map, which I think for us, it's time. Oh, did we create it? Create config map? Oh, it's actually time config. Time config. And the key we want from this config map is gonna be this one. Okay, now we are good, except that we need to mount this volume. So how are we gonna do that? So I know that we can, like from practice, I know that you can do volumes. You can say host dr r thing. But if we want to make sure, so that's the thing. So like you cannot get one example for doing your task. You have to like go through a couple of them most of the time. I'm not sure if we have one here, but I know that from the concept, if I go to storage, I can find that information. So I want to make sure that I know how to. Okay, so we have to do empty drive, I think. Yeah, here it is. Volumes. Okay, empty drive. Okay, name, empty drive. So it's actually empty drive. And I think here, name, can say my wall. And so now we have to mount it in the container. And should say volume mount. Name gonna be my wall. And the address, it's gonna be mount path. It's gonna be dash opt dash time. Did I miss anything? I think that's it. Okay, let's run it and see if we get any error. Okay, create part 3. Oh, dash F part 3. Oh, we got an error. Volumes of type. Okay, volumes. Okay, I think here, so yeah, okay. So volumes should be an array, meaning that like in YAML, we use this dash to use different values. So now it's an array which has only one value. Let's see if it works. Still we got an error. Containers, volume month. Okay, no. Now let's say that I want to show another way to check the like a specification. Let's say during the exam, I'm not able to find the example in the documentation with the specific configuration that I was asked to perform, which quite the case and might happen. So you have other way to check the documentation through the command line itself. You can say kubectl explain. Here we are creating a pod which gonna explain, and then I can say a spec. It's going one down. So we see we have volumes here, but I really wanted to see the spec for containers, right? Which is here. That should be. Let's see it here. Here it is, containers. So I want to see what comes under containers. Go here. Now, so volume months. And volume months is the list. So it seems it has to be array as well. So let's see what error we got. Okay. And now I can go search command and come for here it should be volume months, and here should be all right. I think let's see if it works. Oh, the namespace not found. DV. Oh, I think I had a typo there. The namespace should be DVL. Here we go. Let's see if it works. Awesome. Was created. That's it for this video. Hope it was helpful. Thank you. Bye.